Esteemed writer Frank Miller once said, "It made no sense that superheroes wouldn't date one another." Unfortunately, however, numerous pairings of superheroes just haven't worked out. Here are 10 times that superhero couples in comic books have broken up. Let us know what your favorites are, and remember to push that red button to subscribe for more.
He's not so bad.
Daredevil and Black Widow. Speaking of Frank Miller, his favorite character Daredevil had been through a few rough relationships. One of the more notable early relationships the character was in was his secretive dating of Black Widow. At the time, due to both the CCA and Daredevil not having the grit it's known for today, Marvel wasn't really able to clearly show the two as being in a relationship. Instead, they hinted at it and routinely referenced them as good friends. However, by the time of Frank Miller's run, a run which features Black Widow quite prominently, it's confirmed that the two of them were in a romantic relationship that didn't quite work out. It hasn't stopped them from being good friends, nor has it stopped the two from displaying interest in one another, especially in Brian Michael Bendis' run, where the two of them always seem just a hair away from reuniting.
Wherever you run, I run with you.
Daredevil and Elektra. Boy, Matt Murdock just can't catch a break. He's been included twice on this list. His other relationship is so iconic that there's scarcely a run on Daredevil that doesn't feature it in some way, nor has there been an adaptation not to feature it. Daredevil's heartbreaking relationship with Elektra is a tale of two people, one who is good who is compelled to do bad, and one who's bad who's trying to be good. The two of them aren't exactly made for each other. Their relationship could be toxic, but they're drawn to each other in a way that few other characters are. Unfortunately, the relationship was doomed after the death of Elektra, and while she was soon resurrected in Frank Miller's same run, the two of them don't exactly get back together again. There is a real lack of trust between them that can be felt even now, but with Charles Soule writing more love plots between the two of them, it seems they're destined to keep falling forever. And we haven't even begun to touch upon Typhoid Mary, Karen Page, Mia, and his many other girlfriends. If we did, this whole list could be filled just with Daredevil romances alone.
Sorry to keep letting you down.
Batman and Catwoman. Batman Hush by Jeff Loeb gives probably the best summary of the complicated relationship between Batman and Catwoman. While the story is a conspiracy involving the supervillain Hush, the book is really about the two of them. Batman, with the help of Alfred, allows Catwoman into his life, allows her to know his secret identity, and even lets her into the Batcave. Alfred, being a wise old man, knows that this really could be beneficial for Bruce, letting a woman back into his life again after so many losses. However, by the end of the book, we're left wondering if Catwoman was involved in Hush's conspiracy, causing the breakup of what could have been a relationship between her and the Bat. While he's undeniably attracted to her, her villainous ways make it impossible to ever know if he can truly trust her. Iron Fist and Misty Knight. Iron Fist and Misty Knight have been an item on and off for a very long time. Neither superhero was particularly well known until more recently, and even now they're pretty niche characters, which makes it kind of perfect that they've been in this relationship for so long. It's one that's been through a lot of ups and downs, and at current, the two are estranged from each other. At the moment, the two are still recovering from a phantom pregnancy, which temporarily brought the two of them back together. While separated at the moment, we'd be very surprised if the two of them didn't get back together at some point. The two have been in it for the long haul, and made for one of the first interracial couples ever in comic books. They were introduced as a couple during a time when it was still very much a taboo.
A very young girl looks at me and smiles.
Dr. Manhattan and Silk Spectre 2. Watchmen is generally considered to be the greatest comic book series ever written. It had a clear beginning, middle, and end, and what really launched it to the top of the pile was its fine attention to detail with its very well-developed characters. The romance between Dr. Manhattan and Silk Spectre is falling apart at the beginning of the book. While Spectre loves the Doctor, his infinite power, and in particular his constant experiencing of past, present, and future all at once, have made it very difficult for him to remain interested in women. Not only that, but he begins to fail to feel human at all. That, and Silk Spectre starting to show her age, push her and Manhattan further away from each other until eventually she turns to Dan Dryberg, Night Owl, for companionship.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
Superman and Wonder Woman. For as long as we can remember, Superman and Wonder Woman have flitted between will they won't they speculation and actually being in a relationship. it never really tends to last, and it's often met with mixed reactions from critics and fans. A lot of fans just don't feel like these two really have all that much in common. While they are both super strong and damn near gods, that doesn't mean that they have the same type of chemistry as seen in other couples such as Superman and Lois Lane, or even Batman and Wonder Woman. It seems that while they both make great friends, there's just something off about these two that stops fans from properly latching onto the pairing whenever it does happen. Maybe Lois Lane is just too ingrained in our minds. Storm and Black Panther. Storm and Black Panther had a pretty short marriage. It only lasted through 6 months of comic, and unfortunately they didn't end it on the best of terms. While the couple had initially met in Africa while both quite young, they reunited in later years and were eventually married. However, due to the multiple events during the destruction of Wakanda thanks to Namor the Submariner, the two eventually were split. While the two of them remained friends, this was definitely a failure of a romantic relationship. It seems that superheroes just aren't able to hold down relationships with each other for very long. Writers and editors are often worried that it'll make them boring, which means that unfortunately, while Storm and Panther made a great couple, it just wasn't meant to last. The worst part of it all? It seems like they still love each other. Wolverine and Squirrel Girl. This is a relationship that we're glad didn't work out because it's just plain uncomfortable. After all, Squirrel Girl is still very young, and Wolverine is a few hundred years older than her. He's a bit past the age for dating high school girls. While it was just a fling, Squirrel Girl does hold a spot in Wolverine's heart. It's not the only one of Wolverine's failed relationships though. He's managed to get both simultaneously lucky and unlucky with half the women on the X-Men roster, as well as his enemies at one point or another, including one half of our previous entry, Storm. We hope you enjoyed this trip into a 5'3" hairy fossil's love life. Eric Draven and Shelly. In a comic book movie that put goth back on the map, The Crow was a very unique superhero comic with a downright vicious edge to it that came across as genuinely brutal as opposed to edgy and immature. Nowhere was this more evident than in the failed romance of Eric and Shelly, whose lives and romance were cut short in a murder that sets the events in place for the comic into motion. Eric and Shelly were on course to get married, when the night before their wedding day, they were killed by gangsters on a yearly rampage. The tragedy, of course, being that the relationship never gets the chance to fully blossom, as the two are both killed. Then, as some of us know, the Crow resurrects Eric Draven to seek revenge on the gang. However, it's only after he's able to let go of Shelly's memory that he's finally able to move on.
I love you.
Spider-Man and Mary Jane. Is it too soon? We know that the wounds are still raw after all these years together, but yes, the mighty relationship of Peter Parker and Mary Jane has been erased. While Mary Jane isn't a superhero herself, we couldn't not include her, given this most colossal of failures. After years of happy marriage, it was decided that Peter Parker needed to regress back further, and as a result, Joe Quesada made the decision to erase their marriage via a deal with Mephisto. The writer at the time, J. Michael Straczynski, didn't even really get a say in the matter, despite the fact that this was the conclusion to his acclaimed run on the character. Even if fans don't view the relationship itself as a failure, unfortunately it seems that Marvel does, and so Peter will forever be a bachelor. Well, that was a depressing list. What do you guys think? Are there any that we missed out on? Leave a comment below and let us know. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and check out the rest of our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to CBR for cool videos about movies, action heroes, gaming, comics, and much more. Thanks for watching.